Hey, seventh grade, this is Mr. Matthews again. This is the skill part of our English lesson over the next few days. So it's a little different. It's a little different than what we've done over the last 2 weeks. This one is not just me reading a story and asking you multiple choice questions. This one is about citing evidence in an informational text. So I'm going to read this to you. And again, this is in your packet that you got from the school district. All seventh grade level, we're doing seventh grade work. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to ask you these questions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to put these questions in another little Schoology puzzle piece quiz, okay? So let's get down to it. Directions. Read the excerpt below from Steve Jobs, The Man Who Thought Different, by Karen Blumenthal, and answer the questions that follow. Now, for those who don't know, Steve Jobs is the man who created Apple. Apple is the company that we all know: iPhones, iWatches, iPads, iMacs, Apple iTunes, all of that. All right, so he started Apple about 40 years ago, and we're going to learn a little about him. So I'm going to read right now. Though Steve Jobs had battled cancer for years, somehow his death felt unexpected. Within hours after the news came out, there was an outpouring of grief from around the world that was unprecedented for a business executive. In front of Apple's headquarters at One Infinite Loop in Cupertino, in front of Apple stores from San Francisco to New York to China, people came to pay their respects. They left apples whole and bitten. They brought their iPhones and their iPads with messages of sadness and appreciation. It was as if a world-famous movie star or rock star had died. U2's Bono called Jobs the hardware, software Elvis. His face was on the cover of magazines, from People to The Economist, and many publications rushed out special issues commemorating his life, which flew off the shelves. In her eulogy, which was reprinted in the New York Times, Mona Simpson shared her brother's loyalty, his love of beauty, his incredible tenacity, and his hard work. Before he lost consciousness for the last time, she wrote, he'd look at his sister Patty, then for a long time at his children, then at his life's partner, Laureen, and then over their shoulders past him. Steve's final words were, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." Still in his prime years as a businessman, he had left much unfinished. He had been deeply involved in plans for Apple's new headquarters, going through design after design and insisting that it include the apricot orchards that dotted the valley when he was a boy. He had hoped Apple would figure out a better way to provide television to the masses, and realizing that many kids were no longer assigned lockers, he hoped to find a way to make textbooks more available electronically, perhaps selling iPads with textbooks already loaded. He left the company mid-roar. The Apple he ran was 15 times bigger than the one he took over in 1997. In the fiscal year that ended just before he died, Apple recorded sales of $108 billion, reflecting even faster growth than the year before. Nearly 24 cents of every $1 of sales was pure profit. Though his computers and smartphones were among the most expensive on the market, Apple had sold more than 72 million phones, more than 42 million iPods, 32 million iPads, and almost 17 million computers in 1 year. He had become phenomenally wealthy, worth an estimated $7 billion, according to Forbes magazine, with the largest piece from his Disney stock, followed by his Apple holdings. Only a few business icons in history changed a single industry, but Jobs remade several. He wasn't the creator of the personal computer, but he was the voice and face of the revolution. He didn't make the wonderful computer animated Pixar movies, but he made them happen. He put digital music and the internet in our pockets in an elegant way, and he made our lives easier by insisting that every gadget Apple made, and thus the gadgets that many others made in response, be simple and fun to use. At a memorial service for Apple employees, Tim Cook, Apple's new CEO, said that one of the lessons Jobs taught him was that simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clear enough to make it simple, but it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. Okay, that's the end of the story. Now here are your questions. Number 1, what can you infer from Steve Jobs' last words? Remember, his last words were, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." What can you infer from that? A, he is excited about all that Apple has accomplished. B, he is surprised that so many people came to see him in the hospital. C, he is proud of his family and the life he has built. D, he is overwhelmed by all the work he has left unfinished. Number 2, what evidence is there that Steve Jobs has improved the Apple brand? That's a short answer question. You're going to have to type in your answer and cite some evidence from the text. Again, number 2, what evidence is there that Steve Jobs has improved the Apple brand? Number 3, what evidence is there in the excerpt that supports the following statement? Steve Jobs' products made our lives easier. So find some evidence to support that statement. Number 4, based on the text, why do you think that so many people admired Steve Jobs? A, he created products that gave millions access to convenient technology. B, he was a great businessman. C, he was very wealthy and generous. D, he became as famous as a movie star or rock star. Number 5, provide 2 pieces of text evidence from the excerpt that show that Steve Jobs still had big ideas for Apple even at the end of his life. So 2 pieces of evidence from the text that show he had big ideas for Apple. Number 6, what can you infer about the future of Apple based on your evidence? Okay. Once you're done watching this video, go back into Schoology, click the Steve Jobs quiz puzzle piece, and answer these questions. Have a great day, guys.